Okay, give you a little update on the new pasture areas that were pines. We've already got a lot cleared out. There's just a few trees left right here, right by where the turkeys are flying. And then there's none. They've already taken all those trees, and there's just a few right here left. Now, compared to what you normally see, this is the big, thick pine thicket. So they've cut and done very good getting it all out here. There's still some pine back here. And if you look straight to here, see that open spot right there? That's the way we go. That's where the sheep are, and that's where that, you know, that church field and all that back there. So it shows, you can kind of see our land now. So our goal is, and there's our pond right there. So our goal is to take this on out. This will become, of course, we'll have to take the stumps out. This will become new pastures for our cows. And then from there, we'll move the pigs back to those little pines, all back in here, kind of where close to the sheep and to the back beans up there. So just want to give you an update there. The progress being made. That's after about 3 days of them working, so they have knocked it down. Looks really good. Okay guys, we are back at the garden, as you see. We thought about planting in 3 weeks, which would put us deep into September. And that's what we typically do. We plant typically our greens, our broccolis, our lettuces, everything around the mid of September. Now, and that's what I've said in the last 2 videos. That's kind of what we will continue to do. However, I had someone reach out, and we actually found a more tolerant, heat-tolerant broccoli, more heat-tolerant lettuce mix, and more heat-tolerant green. So we're going to try those. Not that we are changing the way we're doing things. However, if we can get some early fall season growth stuff to where our other stuff will come in a little bit later, and that pretty much takes our winter, that's what we're going to continue to do. So again, it gives us another month of growing of stuff that we traditionally wouldn't start until about 2 or 3, 4 weeks from now. So we're going to try to grow a different variety of broccoli, lettuce, and greens right at the first of the season, and we'll kind of give you an update on that. It's not something that we traditionally would do this early, especially as hot as it is. This time in South Mississippi, we tend to slow down on our rains, so it's definitely not the most get the best growing season. However, we're going to try this. So we're going to try a coastal lettuce that we've picked up, also a Destiny broccoli that we picked up, and then also a local green such as a turnip. So we're going to try those. Again, typically I'd wait 3 or 4 weeks, and that's what we've said in these last videos. But again, we had someone reach out to say, hey, just try these. So we're going to try them and see if they work great. We'll give you some great kind of explanations of where we got them, who we bought them from, and I'll see if they're going to do good. So we're going to take really the first part of this garden. If you remember us planting it, let me show you which ones we're going to start on. The baby rose over here, we're going to probably plant those baby rose over there, and then maybe this front row here, and leave all this middle open for our late fall season stuff, such as the planting in September 15th-ish. So we'll see what we can do with these, though. I want to get these planted and see if they help us. And hey, if we can get some lettuce growing sooner, that's one thing I really miss. Me and Miss Mac love salads, love lettuce, and that's one thing we're having to buy a lot of, and broccoli too. We're having to buy broccoli at a local produce stand just because we can't grow it this time of year. So we really need those 2 things to just show up and show out this time of year, but also as we go into the winter seasons too. So let's just try it. If worse than worse, what we're going to do is waste a little time, and then we'll have to redig up some of the residue and put something else there. So it's not a big deal, but let's see what we can do. And we're gonna water it today because it's hot out here. So we're gonna see what we can come up with, and never hurts to try something new. Before we get started and actually planting, I'm gonna go through and put some of this Job's Organics. It's already done good. This is bought. You can buy this commercially at Home Depot or Walmart or a co-op. But this time of year, nobody hardly gardens, fall gardens typically, so they put it on sale. So we buy this stuff for like half price. So we're gonna put some Job's Organics. This is already compost on top of great composted soil that was already there, some chop and drop. So this is some great quality stuff, but it's not gonna hurt to put a little extra in there. Also, what I'm gonna do, something we've done a little bit, we're gonna put some diatomaceous earth, some DE. We're gonna kind of sprinkle it around, being that we are planting in hot weather, especially lettuces and greens and stuff like that. We want to put some of that organic diatomaceous earth just on the beds too. Maybe that'll help with some of the insect issues as we go. We're going to plant, you can see the pumpkins are still doing good, but that's our worry, because again, our pumpkins, don't like the hot weather either. And so they're already, even though they've had a great growing season already, they're still struggling all the way through. And it's just because, you know, it's hot. So I'm still reserved about what we're doing, but I'd like to just try it and see. But before we actually plant, we're gonna get some of this organic fertilizer down, and then also some of this DE. And I think that's gonna help it just have a little bit better start when it starts growing. Okay, so you see that I've just poked holes with the backside of my rake. And I spaced mine 2 per row, just like I did everything planted in the spring. And then basically I'm going about 6 to 8 inches from each other. So basically they're 6 to 8 inches from each other, this, you know, this way and this way. So basically they're planted. Now this is the broccoli we're gonna try. It's a more heat tolerant broccoli. We're gonna go and cover it up, and then we're gonna get some light water on it. We've already put fertilization on all the rows with that Job's Organics, and we'll link that in our cart and Amazon in our store. And then also put the diatomaceous earth on it as well, just to kind of help maybe with some of the creatures and insects while it is still hot. And again, we're gonna leave these few rows open, and we're gonna tack these 2 rows here, or these 3 rows right there next. And that's gonna be all we're gonna actually plant today before it gets cooler, or at least in the September temperature. We're gonna plant these. Okay, so this is that lettuce row. Now this is a Hoss Tools Coastal lettuce. I've not tried this. I know a lot of people have had great success with this in heat tolerant conditions. Now this is pelletized. So normally when it comes to greens, lettuces, I really trench and kind of spread my seeds that way, just let them kind of grow together kind of in bunches. But with this Coastal, it's pelletized, so I just simply put 1 to 2 pellets in each little spot, so that way it's going to make more of a head. And that way we can see kind of the germination rate this hot. So all this is really just testing. If you see this stuff on top, this is some fertilization and also the DE. But basically we're just going to kind of close all these holes up and then get planted on these last 2 rows real quick. But again, when you're planting like this, you prep so easy. I mean, you prep so much, and you take your time making the rows, that planting actually is very easy and less tiresome. So it took me what, 2 minutes maybe to plant this. So we're gonna close this one up too, and then we'll finish up these 2 rows. We also got to get another poly tarp, basically a silage tarp all right here. There's some grass growing that I want to keep away from this garden. The pumpkins will pretty much, you know, they'll be fine, and so will the sweet potatoes. But just so it doesn't come over here, I'm gonna go and get another silage tarp over here over the next few days as well. So the last row we actually planted, or actually, you know, this was lettuce, and then those 2 rows were the last 2 we planted. We didn't plant any of the other ones, so we have 1 row of broccoli that we're trying out. We have 1 row of Coastal lettuce right here that we're trying out, the pelletized. These 2 rows, we planted purple top turnips. We have so much extra seed of turnips. So we went on and planted those early. Usually we would not plant those purple tops until probably about 3 weeks. Now, for our area, if you look at zone 8B for turnips, whew, it's warm. Oh, it's hot. It's the time to plant. But again, when you come to deep South Mississippi, it just seems like we just stop getting rain, and trees start losing leaves, not because it's fall. They start losing leaves because it's just drought tolerant stuff. It's not drought tolerant. So we planted those. Now the thing we do with our purple top turnips, mustard turnips, and collards, we build trenches in the row, just, you know, with basically just the shovels or the rakes or the back handles, and then we just scatter. We scatter seed, and that seed just basically lays all the way throughout that row. And then we take our rake, we've bent our rake. If you see, it's kind of got a hoop to kind of match our row, and it just kind of circles around the row, and basically it helps close up in those trenches. So it's really more of a scatter on all the top of the row. But what it does, it allows us to take this makeshift, you know, circular rake. You see, kind of has an arch, and pretty much go and just keep it all inside the rows, so they kind of grow wild all the way down that road. That just seems to do better for our greens, because our greens, you know, we're not looking for a mature plant. I don't like turnips and mustards and collards when they're mature, because they get too stalky, a little too bitter. I like them when they're fresh, little green. So what we do is we grow them in patches, in bunches, so we can just pull a bunch up when we want to eat them, pull a bunch up, and they do better that way. I like them that way, and Misty does too. So we've got these rows planted, and we're finished with the first part, and really the part that we just don't know how it's going to do. We're anxious to see just because we've never planted this early, especially when it comes to our fall and winter crops. But we might as well take advantage of the time. We're in a kind of what we call a dead season for us, and we normally wouldn't plant for another 3 or 4 weeks. But hey, let's go ahead and utilize these rows, see what we can do, and try a hand at it and see what happens. So let me get some water on these and we're gonna call it a day. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoy the Macs. Please, we ask you diligently to watch our shows, and hopefully you enjoy them, get to know our family. We ask that you come down here, push subscribe, ring the bell, because ultimately that makes us know that you care. So thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Happy homesteading, y'all.